What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, Waiver Wire for Fantasy Week 13, Thanksgiving week. Yes! Dave's not going to be here for Thanksgiving. We're not going to talk to him after today until next week, until Sunday.
I'm thankful for that.
You fired up? You hungry?
You're asking me if I'm hungry.
What an exciting week this is. Oh, it's the best. And we've got 3 games. You know what's interesting? We have 3 games on Thursday, and Baltimore, Cincinnati is one of them. Maybe we call it the marquee game. I don't know about that, but are we going to trust either quarterback in that game? I know this is a waiver wire show, but Jamie, right now as we sit here, should we be looking at the waiver wire quarterbacks, which aren't very good, if we have Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson?
No.
No. Waiver wire quarterbacks are horrible. Waiver wire quarterbacks are oh man, this is the worst Thanksgiving.
This is where you're going to say the pumpkin pie.
I was thinking side dishes. Obviously, they're the pumpkin pie. But
cranberry sauce.
Yeah, cranberry sauce. They're the cranberry sauce.
We can live without the cranberry sauce.
Except Heath. Heath's wife makes the best cranberry sauce. I'd have to taste it to believe it. All right. Anyway, welcome to the show. I don't know if I said this, but welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We'll give you our favorite waiver wire players right now. Jamie, who are the top 3 priorities on the waiver wire?
Oh boy. The top 3 priorities on the waiver wire would be Devin Neal, would be Devin Neal. I'll go with Neal.
What about Devin Neal?
Brenton Strange. I'm trying to think. Devin Neal, Brenton Strange, and Dalton Schultz.
Okay. Devin Neal 3 times. Brenton Strange and Dalton Schultz. Tight ends are typically, they've been good this year on the waiver wire. Dave, how about you?
Yeah, 4 of the 5 names Jamie said are in my top 3. Devin Neal is number 1. Brenton Strange is in there as well. I'm still going to put Chris Rodriguez on the list. I know the matchup this week really stinks, but it's presumably a lead running back available on the waiver wire in 2/3 of CBS leagues. So that would be my top 3. Let's put Neal at the top, followed by Rodriguez, then Neal, then Strange, then Neal.
All right, so Devin Neal is the prize this week. He actually was out carried by Taysom Hill. And
that's gross.
And not only that, Taysom Hill had 10 carries, Neal had 7. Taysom Hill had only 3 direct snaps, which is actually a lot, but it wasn't all direct snaps. He was just lining up legitimately as a running back. And he plays tight end.
Yeah.
Is he a better ad than Devin Neal? You're getting a running back and playing tight end. I don't know, but Neal had 5 catches for 43 yards. So
I knew you'd get to that. Yes.
A huge part there. And they're facing Miami, who for a moment it looked like maybe they had been better against running backs, but for the full season, they're horrible. 4.8.
No, they are better. They're definitely.
Well, it's also the Saints are horrible too. It's not like, like even if this was Kamara, had he played well last game and stayed healthy, then it would have been back-to-back strong games. You feel a little bit more encouraged about it. But it's still a Saints run offense that has been bad. The reason I think you look at Neal is what you said, the 5 catches. So he's going to be involved in the passing game. And hopefully that's something that can be constant. And then you tack on whatever he does as a rusher. So I still think we may see Audric Estime, who's, going to be probably now the number 2 running back, or 3rd if you want to throw Taysom Hill in there. But it is another good week of tight ends. It's just funny, like how we look at the waiver wire. Like there's guys that are available that could be starters for you right away, and 2 that I mentioned in Schultz and Strange and Schultz, and then you throw in Taysom Hill. There's just some good options that could potentially be flex plays as well.
And then I'll skip ahead to Jamie when we were talking off air yesterday. I don't know if it was on air or off air. You said there were 4 wide receivers who were basically right in the
5. Yeah.
5. Okay, so Yoshivas at Baltimore, Shimray DK against Jacksonville, Jaden Higgins at Indianapolis, John Mechie against Atlanta. How about this stat? Atlanta has allowed, this is not a huge number, but it's pretty good, 12.8 or more PPR fantasy points to 8 wide receivers in their last 5 games. And that's Waddle, Malik Washington, Alec Pierce, Tedero McMillan, Xavier Legette, Chris Olave. I left some out, but not exactly like the best wide receiver. So again, it's Yoshivas, DK, Jaden Higgins, John Mechie. Is there a 5th?
Yeah, Dortch. Just based on what he's done, assuming Harrison's out. So another favorable matchup, and I think a situation where, as long as Brissett continues to do what he's doing, which I don't think that's going to change, Dortch is going to get his targets and opportunities, and so with Harrison not being there, the last 2 games have been fantastic for him. It gets overshadowed because of what Michael Wilson's doing, understandably so. But Dortch has been pretty solid the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Dortch is a very similar matchup. Dortch is facing Tampa Bay. They've allowed 13.5 or more PPR fantasy points to a wide receiver in all but one game, 14 or more points to 8 wide receivers in their last 4 games. So they are really struggling. And you've got guys like Kyle Williams, Mac Hollins, Tyrell Shavers, Rashid Shaheed having big games against Tampa Bay. So we look at those 5 receivers.
Saints Rashid Shaheed. I don't know if Seahawks Rashid Shaheed could do it.
Probably not. Yoshivas, DK, Higgins, Mechie, and Dortch. That's Jamie's order. Dave, how do you feel about those guys?
I've got Mechie at the top. I think there's staying power with him rest of season. I think he looks good as a short and mostly short, but some intermediate routes in the Jets offense. I know Garrett Wilson will be back. When's that going to happen?
Week 15 if he's eligible.
Right, if he's healthy. And so we don't know, and he's played well, and I think he's still going to see some decent target volume moving forward. So I don't mind Mechie. I love what I've seen from Jaden Higgins, really have. So he would make my list as well. I've been on the DK train for a few weeks, and then I got off, and now after a big game, of course, the sense is to go back on it. So those would probably be my first 3 names on the list would be Mechie, Higgins, and DK.
Keep an eye on Alec Iomanner's status. He missed the game. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's out. Chimray DK has played 80% or more of the snaps in 3 games this year, and he's come through with 16 or more. I forget.
He's had 2 games where he's had at least 7 targets, and those are the 2 games you're referencing.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 games. Now, one of those 3 games, he had 3 targets, and he scored 1.5 fantasy points. So it's not like any of these guys are locks. But in 2 of the 3 games where DK's played 80% or more of the snaps, which is way more than in his other games, he's come through pretty good. There's
again, I think with the 5 guys and Dave putting Mechie at the top, I have no problem with that. Somebody putting Higgins at the top. If you want to just look Dortch for a 1-week situation, I have no problem with that. I think you just look at these 5 guys. There's pros and cons for all of them. And we don't know, T. Higgins got a pretty serious concussion from what it looked like. He can miss multiple weeks. And if you're talking about Yoshivas with Burrow for multiple weeks, like sign me up for that too.
Here's the problem, right? So
I said, let me rephrase it. So he'll be with Burrow for multiple weeks. If there's no T. Higgins there, he's obviously not going anywhere.
Yeah, right. So yeah, Higgins was ruled out almost immediately with a concussion, which is pretty rare.
And he's already been ruled out for Thursday.
Exactly. All 5 of these guys, Jamie said 5 guys earlier, really got me pretty hungry. But all 5 of them, they have pretty bad matchups next week.
Yeah.
And there's no buys this week. But that's just something to keep in mind. Yoshivas is at Buffalo next week. DK is at Cleveland. Higgins is at Kansas City. Mechie's at home against Miami, who's 7th best against wide receivers. And Dortch has the Rams. But yeah, I mean, those are interesting wide receivers. So again, the priorities are Devin Neal, Brenton Strange, Dalton Schultz, Chris Rodriguez. And if you need one of those wide receivers, they might be able to come through for you here.
It's not a quarterback.
It's not bad. It's not a quarterback.
No.
Unless Brissett is still available. What is he, 70-something%? Wrong?
Yeah, there are some guys in that shallow league range that you can buy into for sure. But in the range that we typically talk about and what most of our 12-team leagues are looking at, like Tua is the best one.
Are you going to start any of those 5 wide receivers over Justin Jefferson with Max Brosmer?
No, not yet. I'm actually kind of hopeful that maybe the quarterback change helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little intro to our show. We need you to vote. This is fun, man. Go to the 64.com and you're going to see basically right on the homepage, you're going to see America's Best Sports Talk Radio /podcast. We are in the top right bracket and we are currently facing Men in Blazers. And we might have an exciting matchup in the next round if we are able to advance. If you want to vote in this round, it ends pretty soon. So I think next round, best, please go vote. But also I'm going to ask you to vote next round as well. But it's the 64.com. Voting takes about 5 seconds. So we'd appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And just a quick note on our Thanksgiving programming.
What are you going to do for our listeners if we win this thing?
Ooh. I'll send them a signed drumstick.
No.
I think you should shave 3 lines in your head.
Shave 3 lines in your head. 64-minute Q&A live stream for is it going to align with the fantasy playoffs?
I don't know.
How many more weeks is this? I didn't know about this until you told me.
All right, you know what,
just
Dave?
now.
I will do, if we win, I will do a 2-hour live stream every Sunday morning from 11 to 1.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah,
We
Don't
already
be a
did
weenie.
that.
I'll do something. That's fine.
64-minute. How about a 64-minute mailbag with everybody on it?
What do you mean?
Like
we already do a 60-minute.
Is your mailbag already 64 minutes?
Dan Schneier's on it. Yeah.
I didn't know how long you guys went with the mailbag.
64 would be short.
Even
Oh,
without
okay.
him,
Then
he's-
never mind. That's not a gift. Maybe
Nah,
two.
we'll figure something out.
64 minutes of something. Dude, I've been on like one mailbag the last 2 years. Sorry that I don't know how long.
Been invited twice. Been invited twice.
Yeah, I
I'll
didn't feel
wear
like
it.
those were
I'll wear-
sincere invitations.
How about I'll wear 3 nose strips if we win. But anyway, programming this week is normal, except there's no Thursday show. We're gonna record that Wednesday night.
No Thursday live show.
Well, yeah, we're gonna record it Wednesday night to air on Thursday or to watch live about 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll keep you posted,
But
but
you can watch us live Wednesday night.
yes, exactly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, how much fab are we spending this week, guys? Real quick.
I don't think you have to spend a lot aside from maybe Neal or Rodriguez just because of the positions that
Right.
they play. So the receivers, again, it's we've kind of been living the same Groundhog's Day over and over again of, hey, a receiver pops up, spend a little bit of fab on him, then he disappears, unfortunately. So like you alluded to, Adam, the matchups this week for those guys are very intriguing. The matchups next week are probably not so much. And again, in Dortch's case, you could have Harrison back. In the case of Mechie, in 2 weeks, you could have Wilson back. In the case of Yoshivas, you could have Higgins back. Like, there's a lot of things that could go not necessarily wrong, but put roadblocks or speed bumps on these guys that don't have them as potential starters rest of the season. So I wouldn't go crazy with the receivers. I think in the case of the tight ends, you can see a huge path to success for Brenton Strange. His last 3 games, healthy games, 10.5 PPR points or more. Schultz had the one bad game against the tight end erasers. So, if he gets dropped or is still sitting on waivers, go right back to him. But in the case of Neal and Rodriguez, Neal specifically, like if you spend too much fab on him, Kamara's not out for the season. So you may only be getting a 1 week situation, maybe 2 weeks. And Rodriguez, to me, he's touchdown dependent. And so Dave's right. He's going to be the lead running back on Washington, but he has 1 catch in his last 3 games. He didn't score last game against Miami, and he played really well, but he got 8 PPR points. Like, that's the type of guy that he could be if he doesn't find the end zone. Now, he did score in the 2 previous games. One of those he didn't finish, and that was against Detroit. So did do well in a tough matchup, and maybe things get even better for Washington when you get Jane Daniels back. But I think just in the case of fab, like, I wouldn't go too crazy on any of these guys.
Yeah. Can I just ask you guys to elaborate a little bit more on your expectations for Devin Neal and I guess Chris Rodriguez? You guys both prefer Neal over Rodriguez, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it is a really good matchup, and he had the 5 catches, which is weird because even Kamara was not really routinely getting 5 catches.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, they were kind of using Neal as their pass catcher with Kamara.
Well, that's interesting. So yeah, again, it's on paper, looks like a great matchup this week at Miami. And then who's to say that Kamara comes back anytime soon? I mean, I know it wasn't diagnosed as a season-ending injury, but I shouldn't have said that. You know what I'm saying? That there's no rush.
Well, if you're taking a broader view of it, there's no reason for him to rush. It's a lost season for their team, and he's still, I would guess, part of their plans for 2026. So for an older running back to try and come back from an injury for a team that's not going anywhere, like, why would he want to do that? And why would they even want to do that? Like, this is a great opportunity to evaluate Neal if he is maybe their backup next year or potentially their starter if they do move on from Kamara. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to see what he can do. But clearly, we go through this all the time. You're usually the guy who pushes back on guys want to play, and he's potentially going to rush back. Look, he's clearly proven his dedication to the Saints by what he said at the trade deadline. Like, he wants to be with them, and I'm sure give them every opportunity to win games and probably help Kellen Moore based on what seems like their relationship is. So,
but you know what? Don't even worry about that storyline. Let's just talk about what we expect from Devin Neal, and let's do that after a quick break here on Fantasy Football Today. As I look at the Saints, and they have scored, when was the last time they scored 20 points? Week 5. So
Drew Brees was the quarterback.
We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, Jamie, continue what you were saying. Your expectations for Devin Neal, because a lot of times we get a backup running back, we get super excited, but I don't think it's that this week.
Well, I mean, look, there's reason to be excited, and there's plenty of optimism here because, again, we don't know how this is going to work with Taysom Hill and, again, maybe Estime or whatever else they decide to do because they're going to bring somebody else in to help out here. But Neal has not shown us the ability to be a dominant rusher in the NFL yet. So is he just going to be a pass catcher? Is he just going to be somebody that they use to supplement Taysom Hill of all people? So I think you're looking at it. For me, I don't know where Dave has him ranked or Heath has him ranked. Like, I just think you got to view him as a flex. I think the same thing with Rodriguez almost every week as a flex. But the difference is for me is like, I feel as if the game we got from Neal last week, where you can sort of fall back on his pass catching ability or his pass catching production, is going to sort of keep him in that range in PPR where he'll be okay as a flex. Whereas for Rodriguez, and just, if you're looking at the two on waivers, if Rodriguez doesn't score, I don't think he's going to be a consistent 100-yard rusher. I think we're looking at maybe a 70, 80-yard guy max unless he breaks one. But that game against Miami, I just think is the perfect example of what he is. Non-touchdown, 7-8 points.
And it could be even worse than that against Denver.
Right.
Minnesota, right? I get it.
So these are warm bodies that play running back. These are not guys that are going to change your fantasy fortunes. At least I don't think so right away. They're not must-start players. Jamie, you call these guys flexes? That's what they are. And how many times have we seen Taysom Hill Bogart touchdowns from Alvin Kamara? What do you think they're going to do when they're near the goal line? I'd be surprised if it's Devin Neal there too. And Adam, you talked about how all year the Saints haven't thrown to Alvin Kamara. Now suddenly they're going to start throwing to Devin Neal. So the appeal to me with these guys is they're going to get some work. They're going to play a solid amount. They're not going to be like 80% of the snap guys for their respective teams. They're not on high scoring teams, but they're going to accrue some fantasy points. And if you really don't like your depth at running back, if you're really desperate at running back, then this is the move that you make, is go and get one of these two guys or both of these guys. Do not spend a lot of fab to do it. 15% of your original budget should get it done.
All right.
I think the thing, though, just in terms of throwing to their running backs and just looking at the 3 starts for Shuck. So the Rams game, they didn't really do it to either guy. But the last 2 games, in terms of the Panthers and the Falcons, it was 6 targets for Kamara and Neal combined, and then 9 targets for Neal and Kamara combined. And that's not including, I think they threw maybe a couple times to Taysom Hill too. So, or targets to Taysom Hill. So I think you look at just what they did with Shuck as opposed to what they did with Rattler, and that's maybe better sample size of what to expect.
Adam.
Yeah, Dave didn't work.
It didn't work.
Dave tried to put up a bag on his window to get the sun out, but
no. It's a
Publix bag. What did you use?
It might as well have been. I'm going to take a picture of this because it's the stupidest thing ever. My wife's a preschool teacher. I found a baggie full of her preschool materials, and I'm just looking for something that could like block out part of the sun so that sunlight doesn't come in and distract the show. It didn't work. It did work on like a third of the camera, but not the part where the lens actually is. So, I might as well have done nothing. All right, I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to send it to Schaefer. Schaefer will put it on the show. This is what I try to. It's hilariously bad. But anyway, the sun's here. Everybody, good morning.
Here's your news. Here are your news and notes. Baker Mayfield's shoulder injury, not as bad as they feared. Chance he could play this week. Maybe it's going to be next week. Baker Mayfield will keep an eye on him. If he doesn't play, Teddy Bridgewater will play. I think we're going to expect that as of now. JJ McCarthy is in concussion protocol, so Max Brosmer is expected to start this week. Joe Burrow expected to play. CJ Stroud still in concussion protocol, but he'll be the starter when he's back, which is hopefully this week at Indianapolis. Jaden Daniels is unlikely to play this week, according to Ian Rappaport. In some leagues, Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, guys who were being drafted in the top 40, basically, top 50 at the latest, are available.
What is happening right now?
Dave
how's it looking, guys?
Yeah,
are you there yet?
You fixed it. It worked.
He's standing in front of it.
Oh, all right. We'll stay there then. Aaron Rodgers.
Are we good?
Play this week. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders is going to start, even though Dylan Gabriel did clear a concussion protocol. And Lamar Jackson has a toe injury now. I have no idea how serious it is, but
He's turning into the operation man.
yeah.
Do we start Lamar Jackson?
Ashton Genty ankle. All we know is Pete Carroll said that it's not severe. The other thing we know is that Pete Carroll's never honest about injuries. Isaiah Pacheco could play this week. They play Thursday at Dallas. Alvin Kamara knee. Quinshon Judkins we think is fine. He came back. This one kind of could stink. Samaje Perine was listed as a full participant. It's been beautiful for Chase Brown, playing 90% of the snaps. Samaje Perine hopefully won't take too much away from him. They're at Baltimore on Thursday. Josh Jacobs was listed as limited. He said last week that he would play on this week. And I haven't seen anything on Zonovan Knight. Have you guys?
Nothing.
All right. So he's probably okay.
We ranked him.
All right.
I assume that there was some good news.
Remember, Benson got in some practice last week, so maybe this will be Trey Benson's week. Wide receiver news. Todd Bowles plans to ramp up Chris Godwin's usage. George Pickens was listed as a DNP. He should be fine for Thursday against the Chiefs. Jaden Reed was listed as limited. Matthew Golden might be able to play this week. They're Thursday at the Lions. Jalen Waddle missed practice. That was kind of weird. They get the Saints this week. They're coming off a bye. Juwan Jennings could be facing a suspension for retaliating for getting hit in family show. We got hit, below the belt.
You're hitting the balls. Say it. You're okay.
Okay, fine. And T. Higgins and Andre Yoshevich were injured, but Yoshevich came back, and Higgins is going to miss the game this week. Rashee Rice was listed as limited with a hamstring injury. So we were hoping it was cramps. Maybe it's a hamstring injury for Rashee Rice. But the fact that he was listed as limited, I think, is a good sign because they have the Thursday game at Dallas. Darren Waller practiced this week. He caught 4 touchdowns in 3 healthy games. Yeah. And in one of those games, he played like 26% of the snaps. Okay. Real quick on the offensive line. The Patriots are going to be without the left side of their offensive line for the foreseeable future, especially left guard Jared Wilson. He's going to be out, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. Will Campbell, I haven't seen a timetable, but he's going to miss some time.
Weeks, not days.
Right. Minnesota, 2 offensive linemen got hurt.
Well, the main one is Darisaw.
Yeah.
That's a biggie. Remember earlier this year when Carson Wentz was running for his life?
Yeah.
That was because Darisaw wasn't playing.
They're at Seattle this week, so they don't want to be missing guys on.
Yeah, this is a bad spot for Brosmer to make his NFL debut.
You got Tyler Guyton, left tackle for the Cowboys. He left with an injury, and in that same game this week, Trey Smith, Chiefs star guard, he left with an injury. So we'll see if those guys can play. Chandler Zavala just keeps getting hurt for Carolina, and he got hurt again last night. The Raiders fired Chip Kelly, and they are going to go to Greg Olson, who has a lot of experience as their offensive coordinator. But let's see, Carolina got pretty beat up. They lost a linebacker and 2 defensive backs, including their best corner, J.C. Horn, to a concussion. So they get the Rams this week. Let's check on Kyle Hamilton. I'm thinking he'll play. We might get Terrion Arnold back this week for Detroit, a cornerback there. The Eagles. The Eagles super beat up. Mm-hmm. 2 safeties, 1 cornerback, 1 defensive tackle. None of them are their star players, but important players for them. They're all hurt, and this is important for Chicago on Friday. This is going to be a limping Eagles defense. And I'll leave it at that. Although, no, New England with Kairos Tonga, defensive lineman, leaving with an injury. Between him and Milton Williams, I was reading on Patriots.com, seemed to really affect their run defense. They get the Giants on Monday night. Okay.
A new defense coordinator for the Giants, too.
Oh, that's right. I don't even know who it is. Who they promote?
Their linebackers coach.
Oh, okay, great. Start all their linebackers. Hey, it's time for football at BetMGM. Register with BetMGM to get instant access to the best variety of parlay selection features, no sweat and boost tokens, live betting options, and much more. New players can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets with the bonus code FANTASY if they don't win their first bet. You don't want to miss out on any of the hard-hitting action at BetMGM. Place your money line, parlay bets, and more today. BetMGM, make it legendary. Let's go to the top 3 at each position. Jamie, who are our top 3 quarterbacks?
Oh, boy. Get ready. You got Tua at number 1. I put C.J. Stroud at number 2, and then Cam Ward at number 3. Hello.
Okay. Tua against the Saints. Stroud gets the Colts, and Cam Ward, Jacksonville, where 6 of the last 7 quarterbacks have had good to great games against Jacksonville.
He's coming off his best game.
He is. I don't know why he hasn't run this year. He finally ran last week.
Last 2 games. He's been over 30 yards rushing each of the last 2 weeks.
Great. This is a positive sign. Running back, Dave. Top 3 running backs. We know who the top 2 are. Let's get the top 3.
Neal and Rodriguez are the top 2. Devin Singletary is still a free agent in 54% of leagues. He would be number 3.
What did you make of what I just said about the Patriots' run defense and how it relates to Singletary, who I think got 14 carries last game?
I feel the same way about Singletary as I do Neal and Rodriguez.
Game of the week, yeah! The Giants upsetting the Patriots. Dave's not going to be here all week. So it's the game of the week. Hey! You heard it, folks. It's going down, Patriots fans. We own you. All right, Dave, sorry.
There's got to be, first of all, don't apologize. Second of all, there's got to be some Patriots fans that would love to make some sort of wager with you on that.
What am I going to keep just wagering things?
I mean, we got to keep the show fun.
Yeah, it's true. That's fine. I'm pretty confident in it.
I mean, you're scared we're going to lose the 64 tournament thing because Jamie said balls.
Well, yeah, I just it's contingent on Jackson Dart. Then I'll make any bet. All right, Dave. So we got Devin Singletary third.
Yeah, Neal, Rodriguez, Singletary are my top 3.
All right, top 3 wide receivers, Jamie.
The top 3 wide receivers we already mentioned. I'm going to give you 5, not 3. So we have Yoshivas, we have DK, we have Jaden Higgins, John Mechie, and Greg Dortch.
Yoshivas, Chimere DK, Jaden Higgins. I'm just typing all this. Jaden Higgins, John Mechie, Greg Dortch. Dave, you want to rank those 5?
Mechie 1, Higgins 2, Yoshivas would probably come in at 3, DK 4. Dortch is last. I don't want to add him and then have Marvin Harrison Jr. come back.
True that. All right, top 3 tight ends, Dave.
Brenton Strange, Darren Waller, and if Schultz is out there, he should probably be near the top. We'd put Schultz over Waller. I'll go Strange, Schultz, Waller, thinking rest of season.
Okay. And let's see. Are you ready to move on from Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert for Brenton Strange, Dalton Schultz, and Darren Waller?
Yes.
Not Waller, but the other 2, yes. Waller's no guarantee to play this week. It's just the window's open.
Mm-hmm. The Yoshivas, DK, Higgins, Mechie, Dortch group. Are you starting them over Christian Watson?
Yoshivas, yes. Dortch, yes. Mechie, yes. Higgins, no. And DK, no.
None of them. I'll take Watson over all of them.
Are you starting them over Emeka Ibuka?
No.
Then, they got with Bridgewater's playing.
No, I get it. Ibuka's going to be downgraded, but
hopefully we get the Jacoby Brissett factor for Ibuka. Just throw it all over the place with Bridgewater.
Is this sarcastic here? Can we have Adam's IDP pick since last week's was so good? I don't know how did he do well?
Robinson was terrible.
Well, take those $4, Jamie. There you go. All right. So to recap, we got.
I believe you lost in that league by 2 points.
I did? You
did.
I didn't even check that league.
I only know because you and I are competing for maybe the final playoff spot.
Oh, come on. This is just this year, man. Oh, so much of that.
You picked the wrong linebacker.
No, Jamie had. He lost by 2.5.
Oh, Jamie picked the wrong. Well, but you still lost anyway. The linebacker.
Josh Allen.
Nothing to do with it. Yeah. Sure. If you started Josh Allen, you probably lost.
Okay. Anyway, to recap, Tua Tagovailoa, CJ Stroud, Cam Ward are our top 3 waiver wire quarterbacks. The running backs are Devin Neal, Chris Rodriguez, and Devin Singletary. Singletary, that was Dave's list. Jamie's 5 wide receivers are Yoshivas, DK, Higgins, Mechie, Dortch, and Dave's top 3 tight ends are Brenton Strange, Dalton Schultz, and Darren Waller. And now it's time for coverage you can count on, sponsored by Nationwide. Jamie, give us a DST to stream this week.
Chargers. The Raiders are bad. I know they got a new coordinator, and we'll see if that helps, but I don't know if he's going to play offensive line for them. So the Chargers coming off a bye, seeing what just happened to Geno Smith, and really what Geno Smith has looked like the majority of the season, but that offensive line is a disaster. And the Chargers, you can make a case that the Chargers should be the number one player unit, whatever you want to describe them as, to add this week, because that's a huge league-winning situation taking on that Raiders defense.
Yep. And
Raiders
by the way, he's their new offensive coordinator, but he's been their offensive coordinator twice before.
It's a third test.
This is his third tour of duty as the Raiders OC. Because the first two worked out so well for Greg Olson. And it's a different Greg Olson, obviously, than the one that used to play tight end, made a great rap song for the University of Miami, current analyst for Fox. Different guy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if the current analysts on Fox were the offensive coordinator.
It might be an improvement.
Well, other.
I mean, there is a analyst for Fox that could be an offense coordinator.
Yeah, I was making that joke. Absolutely, Tom Brady. Also, Jaguars and the Chargers are rostered in about the same amount of leagues, about 48%. Jaguars get the Titans this week. Titans are pretty much a layup for DSTs.
Tell Seattle that.
How did Seattle do, by the way?
They gave up some garbage time points that hurt them.
Let's see. They scored. They had one of their worst games.
Yeah, I mean, Cam did not turn the ball over. He didn't have an interception.
Right. Cam had one of his best games.
Yep.
That's why you're encouraged to put him on so high up on your list this week at quarterback. And I agree with it. I'd rather have Tua, I think, than Cam Ward. But we saw a different looking Cam Ward this past week, and I'm encouraged by it.
I think we'd like to see him stack it before we buy it.
You're not starting Cam Ward.
Well, you just talked
We're
about
starting Lamar Jackson over Cam Ward.
I think
Darnold.
This week's quarterback list is for the
Birds.
Who?
The Birds.
Well, this is like, it's a specific probably manager, but like the one that's been sort of going from Daniels to Mariota, whoever they picked up last week may not be great. Like that type of manager. If you've been starting Flacco and you don't have Burrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was coverage you can count on, sponsored by Nationwide. And who are the kickers to stream, Jamie?
Well, since you're so concerned, I'd go back to Fairbairn. I'm sure once he's healthy, he'll start to put up points like he typically does. McMahon is coming off a 3 field goal game indoors against Detroit. Badgley indoors against the Texans. Jake Elliott hopefully will bounce back and play better than better this week than he did last week. And then Chad Ryland takes on Tampa Bay. Shouldn't be any weather issues there.
Yeah, it's always, try to prioritize indoor kickers in Los Angeles or Miami or something like it. Well,
Los Angeles is indoors,
yeah. But good weather places. All right. By the way, just whenever I hear For the Birds, does anybody else think of Norm Macdonald roasting Bob Saget? Because that just immediately comes to my mind. Amazing roast. Okay. Well, you should look it up. We're going to take a break. Shallow leagues, deep leagues, and more when we come back.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But thanks to CBS Sports, you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
So we've gone over the Devin Neals and the Chris Rodriguez's and all those wide receivers and Dalton Schultz and all that. But Jamie, if there's a guy in the shallower leagues that really jumps out at you that you have to get, who's that guy or some of those guys?
So you mentioned Brissett at quarterback. I think you also can look at Trevor Lawrence. Should have a good opportunity this week against the Titans. And then I think it's worth stashing Jaden Daniels. He's not going to play this week, but might return. And the end of season schedule, not exactly terrible. Gets Minnesota week 14, Giants week 15. So not bad there. At running back, if you don't like Devin Neal or Chris Rodriguez or Devin Neal, you can look at Bashal Tootin, I think is worth stashing. Tyler Algier is worth stashing. And I still think Zonovan Knight, depending on what happens with Trey Benson, somebody you want to keep an eye on there. At receiver, we have, sorry, I skipped past it. At receiver, we have Christian Watson, still in the range of guys that we are looking at here. He's at 74% rostered. Terry McLaurin's at 80% rostered. Pick him up if he's still out there. Parker Washington has had 3 solid games of his last 4. And you mentioned Chris Godwin about getting ramped up. He's still somebody that I think is worth putting on the end of your bench. At tight end, besides the 2 guys of Brenton Strange and Dalton Schultz, you also have Kate Otten's at 78% rostered. I'd go back to him even though he struggled last week. Juwan Johnson's my favorite of the group, 76% rostered. Theo Johnson hopefully will continue to do well with Jackson Dart. He had 77 yards receiving last week, so that was good. And then I still think Harold Fannin, I know it wasn't a great game and he hasn't had a good game in his last 3, but you still see the target share that he's getting from the Browns quarterbacks. So even Shedeur Sanders last week, 20 attempts, he had 6 targets. So there's still an opportunity for Harold Fannin to low-end starter, not a must-start guy, but a low-end starter.
Theo Johnson has a 20% target per route run rate with Jackson Dart. It's only 16.4% with Jameis Winston. So I think Dart could be good for Theo. So you gave all those names. If there were a few out there that if every single one of them were available, who are the top guys?
Juwan Johnson and Jacoby Brissett would be my 2 favorites. Just looking at what Brissett has done, 20 or more points in all 6 starts in place of Kyler Murray. I don't know if that will change this week. Next week gets a little bit tougher, but must-start guy this week again. And then Juwan Johnson, another game with over 10 PPR points and a much easier matchup this week. Last week was one of the tougher matchups just in terms of what the Falcons have done to opposing tight ends all season. And this week against the Dolphins, much easier opponent. So like the setup for him. Somebody asked in chat about Jaden Reed. He's one of the receivers to add. I don't know if we'll get to him or not, but he's just outside the top 5 guys that I listed.
I mean, they have no passing game. Nobody can stand out. Right. He's outside the top 5. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you. I was so excited about Jaden Reed as a good sleeper this year.
I mean, to be fair, he played 1 full game. He caught a touchdown in the game. It was week 1, not an easy matchup against Detroit. So maybe he's the guy that does stand out. And that's, I think, just a little bit. You asked about Watson earlier. If Reed does play, it's hard to say any of the Packers wide receivers should be started.
Okay. And just to wrap up that discussion real quick. So what are your expectations? They've got Denver this week, so no one wants to start Commanders passing game guys. But let's say Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are playing week 14 and beyond. Can we recapture some magic, Dave? Do you think it's possible that these guys actually play, like what we drafted them to be, and they could carry us to championships?
No, not what we drafted them to be. But could Jaden Daniels be a top 10 quarterback? Yeah, he could be toward the bottom of that list. Could Terry McLaurin be a top, let's call it 20 to 30 wide receiver? Yes, I think he could. But they've got to get healthy. There's also the question about why would they risk it if it's a lost year with these players. I kind of think they need to get a little bit of experience for Daniels, and McLaurin probably would want to play if they have the opportunity, and the matchups aren't going to be any worse than what they are this coming week for the Commanders. So hopefully after this week, things will be better for them. Hopefully they get healthy, and hopefully we see them and their maybe starts.
The thing you got to worry about with Daniels is he's probably going to play with some bulky brace on his left elbow. How much will he run, if he's going to run at all, after what happened to him and what's been happening to him? This is not his first injury. It's his worst injury, but not his first injury. And then in the case of McLaurin, he's had 1 good game. He's only played 4.
I know. He's only played 2 with Jaden Daniels. All right. Well, anyway, why
But you should be picking these guys up if you have the opportunity. If we're talking about, again, the list of 5 receivers and McLaurin's still sitting there, so a 10-team league, I'd much rather take the chance on McLaurin if I'm not starting any of these guys. So yes, he's got 2 touchdowns the last 2 games. If you tell me I got to start John Mechie versus Terry McLaurin, or stash John Mechie versus Terry McLaurin, I'm clearly stashing McLaurin.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I don't know what we're wasting time here because none of these guys are available in my league. Terry McLaurin, idiot. Dave, who are the deep league guys, and also you have an IDP to share with the class.
So first of all, was that you who called Terry McLaurin an idiot, or was that the old prospector guy calling?
No, it was
Jamie an idiot.
It was Eric Hartman, the prospector, calling all of us idiots for talking about McLaurin.
Okay. And let me ask the old guy a question. What's a good availability percentage to go off of for deep leagues? 70%, 80%?
85. I'm 85 years old, Dave.
So I am going to only name players that are available in 85% or more of CBS leagues. They should be available everywhere if that's the case on CBS. And Cam Ward tops the list at quarterback. He's going to be available in 86% of leagues, and he's the only quarterback not named Shedeur Sanders or Max Brosmer that you can find in such a situation. Devin Neal, 88% available. So one of the top running backs this week is available in all leagues. And so is Jaleel McLaughlin. I hope that Sean Payton is not building a mystery with his running game, but I think McLaughlin could see a little bit more work, not a lot more, next week or this coming week against Washington, and that is a favorable matchup for RJ Harvey. But Harvey didn't exactly set the world on fire in his first start. Michael Carter also out there in 88% of leagues. Wide receiver, Mechie, 99% available. Shimray DK, 87% available. Greg Dortch, 91% available. Those are the receivers that you're looking at there. Tight end, it's Brenton Strange doesn't make the cut, old man. Sorry, 80% available. And he would probably be the only one. I don't know if I've got a tight end that's available in 85% or
Brock
more
Wright.
of leagues. Yeah, you're not. I wouldn't recommend Brock Wright. I'm sorry.
Colby Parkinson.
Gesicki.
Gesicki. Back Gesicki, yeah.
His games without T. Higgins last year, he averaged
That's
over
fair.
50
That's
fair.
fair. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's interesting.
Yeah,
And
I would start Gesicki over Brock Wright.
yeah.
And Parkinson is interesting too because he's been on this solid streak lately.
Oh, Taysom Hill, non-PPR.
Yeah, if you want to go for a guy that might score a touchdown, Taysom is in line for that too. Look at you. Maybe you should be the one doing the deep league pickups, old man.
Good old Gunnar Helm has played the same amount of snaps as Okonkwo, 2 games.
That sounds like what your name might be.
What, good old Gunnar Helm?
Yeah.
As the prospector? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there are some crappy deep league tight ends that we could make a case for, sure. Who's the best one, Gesicki?
Well, I mean, Brenton Strange should just fudge the rules and put him at the top of the list. Because I'm not going to go get Gesicki just because the old man said so when Brenton Strange is out there.
No, but Gesicki, Taysom Hill, Gunnar Helm, Colby Parkinson, Brock Wright, who's...
I think I have Parkinson ranked the highest of those guys.
Yeah, I'll take Gesicki as long as Higgins is out.
Okay.
Well, if Gesicki's going to have a big game, then what does that mean for Yoshivas?
I mean, have you seen Joe Burrow against the Ravens lately?
Yes. Like last year. It's pretty good. It's a good point.
Well, look, it's a different Joe Burrow. Maybe it's a different Ravens. So
totally true.
No, look, it could be they could both be good. One of them could be good. You don't know, but you have an opportunity here for Yoshivas and Gesicki to come through for you. And who's the IDP, Dave?
Oh, Isaiah McDuffie in Green Bay, assuming that Quay Walker remains out for the Packers. Last 2 weeks, he's been great on the tackle front. Taking on the Lions, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to tackle in that matchup. So McDuffie is someone that you can go after.
Oh, what a roller coaster last night for Brock Purdy managers, huh? Started looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Interception number 1, interception number 2, interception number 3, and he delivers a dud. It's disappointing. San Francisco 20, Carolina 9. So Purdy, yeah, okay. You're going to go back to Purdy?
Took a page out of Pete Carroll's book and just stupidity at the goal line.
Why? Because he went play action?
Run the ball.
Why? Play action works all the time.
Oh, it worked really well last night when your whole identity is to run the ball.
He could have run it in. He didn't have to.
Bryce Young had a clear pathway to run it in. Instead, he threw it.
Give the ball to Rico Dowdle. That's all you got to do. You're on the road. You have a chance to tie the game. Give the ball to Rico Dowdle.
I don't know. I mean, you can't. It was first down, right?
Yes.
So they could have obviously run the ball on second down or third down or fourth down.
Or you throw an interception because your quarterback's 5'9".
Well, I don't think I don't think Canales called an interception on that, but I don't think he said.
I don't think he did either, but he put his team in a bad spot by not running the damn football.
Oh man, I'd strongly disagree with you. I think this is on
because the results worked out well in your favor.
This is on Bryce Young. This isn't on.
It's
Dave
totally
Canales.
on Bryce Young.
Okay.
100% on Bryce Young.
I mean, you wanted him to run the ball.
It is on Bryce Young.
The whole stadium probably thought they were going to run the ball.
And you run it.
I don't know. You have 4 opportunities down there. I think it's okay to mix it up pass. But all right, anyway, back to reality for Teteroa McMillan. He did catch a nice touchdown pass, but still had a bad game. 86% start. I mean, it was just Bryce Young.
What was your decision again? Teteroa versus?
I don't know.
Pearsall? Was it Pearsall?
No, that wasn't a real.
I thought Jameson was part of his.
I couldn't remember.
Not for me this week. I mean, I don't think so. McMillan was. I don't know. Michael Wilson, maybe. I don't remember. I started McMillan, obviously, like most people did. All right, Jamie, give me your thoughts on the Panthers, and then Dave on the Niners.
this was the fear with Bryce Young, right? He's coming off a great game against Atlanta. We saw the matchup, how good it could be, and this is why it's hard to trust him in anything more than super flex or 2 quarterback leagues consistently. So I think that really the thing that bothered me a little bit was a little too much Chuba Hubbard. So after Rico had been playing so well and doing such fantastic things, and they talked a little bit about, Hubbard said he may come back too soon from the calf injury, so maybe now he's finally getting healthy. I don't know. I think just in the case of what you have with the Panthers, there's 2 guys you're going to consider starting on a week-to-week basis. Rico's obvious. You're not going to get away from him anytime soon. And McMillan, I think you just got to treat as a low-end number 2 receiver. Somebody that should be in your lineups in 3 receiver leagues for sure, depending on who else you have for 2 receiver leagues. It was great that he caught a touchdown. The drop was horrible that he had, his 5th drop of the season. So he's just making some rookie mistakes at times. But it's really just, I think, for me, Bryce Young. Is he going to ever put him in situations where he's going to consistently win to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, it's completely safe no matter what. So McMillan, low-end number 2 receiver, rest of way. Dowdle still number 2 running back. I think just safer to call him that as opposed to slam dunk number 1 must-start guy with what Hubbard did last night and may continue to do.
Yeah. And they're facing the Rams. Then they have a bye at the Saints, where he already ran 18 times for 53 yards, did score a touchdown 2 weeks ago. And then Tampa Bay, Seattle in week 17. It's not the best schedule for Rico Dowdle. Dave, your thoughts on the Niners? Brock Purdy goes from 25.3 fantasy points last week to 9.3 this week in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues.
Yeah, if we're going to criticize Bryce Young for his decisions, then we should definitely criticize Brock Purdy for his, and just some of the throws that he made that were intercepted just didn't look right. And so I'm curious to go back and watch and try and figure out what he saw in the coverages and whether or not his arm strength was the same as it was last week, because I thought he looked amazing last week. And then on Monday, he just didn't look quite as good. I think there will be some trepidation in starting him against Cleveland. That is going to be an aggressive defense, obviously. I don't think he's going to be able to throw the ball all over the place. Not that it's going to slow you down from starting George Kittle, nor should it slow you down from starting Juwan Jennings. As long as he's playing and not suspended, I think the opportunity will be there for him to be a number 3 receiver. I don't see how anybody can trust Ricky Pearsall. It's been 2 games. It's not like they've eased him back in. He's had a route run rate north of 80% each of the last 2 games. It might be even 85%. So practically an every down player. Not a lot of targets, not doing a lot with them. I mean, we're talking very low fantasy points. There's going to be a bunch of other receivers, a bunch of receivers that we named today that you're going to be able to find off the waiver wire and start over Ricky Pearsall. And that'll beg the question, do you cut Ricky Pearsall? And I think that's much easier to do in a 10-team league. In a 12-team league, I don't necessarily hate it, but I might hesitate to do it if there is a suspension coming for Juwan Jennings.
Right. Okay, here's a quote from Brock Purdy. He said, honestly, the decisions of going to those spots I was fine with. It's just the execution of throwing a better ball. I feel like on really all of them, I needed to just drive the ball a little bit more. I kept it up in the air too long on multiple of them.
Saved me the time from watching the clips. So now we know that even he said that he should have thrown the ball harder. If this was his first game back from injury, I would have been very concerned. But the fact that he had a better game the week before, I'm a little less concerned. He's going to be in that low end number 1, high end number 2 quarterback range against Cleveland, but probably closer to number 2 than number 1.
Yeah, I would sit him this week just based on the Browns.
Right. Yeah, I wonder how he's done in cold weather. Also, I feel like it's not going to be.
I mean, he played his college football in Iowa, so I'm sure he's seen his fair share of games in cold
and he
weather.
barely got drafted.
I know he's from Arizona, but he's got experience in cold weather.
Oh boy, I just realized I don't have my phone on me. I was going to check the weather. Oh, I feel so naked. Sorry for the image. All right, that's the end of that game. No. Oh wait, that's Thursday. Never mind. Drop-o-meter, 0 to 10. I'm just going to throw this guy out there just so you can say 0. Okay, because people might ask. Mark Andrews.
He's facing the Bengals.
Yeah, you can't do it this week.
And 2 of the next 3 weeks, he's facing the Bengals.
Yeah, you can't do it. 0.
I think Pittsburgh struggles against tight ends too, and that's in between those games. Kyle Pitts at the Jets this week.
10, 12,
5.
Cade Otton against Arizona.
0.
1.
Why? If you're thinking Bridgewater might start, Otton, with Godwin back, does he not feel a little expendable now?
He's a little expendable. And I would rather start Strange than Otten this week. And you can make the case for Schultz over Otten this week. But I would imagine that this offense is going to be schemed down quite a bit to make short, easy throws for Teddy B.
Buffalo and the Rams in back-to-back games. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry. Someone say Johnny Airport says I'm a nudist.
you mean Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas. All right. How about Dallas Goedert 0-10?
5.
Yeah, I mean, he's in that same range for me as Otten.
Romeo Dobbs.
It's okay.
If Reed is back, then it's a 10.
4.
Jordan Love at Detroit Thursday.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not starting Love, so if he's your backup quarterback, you can probably drop him. Let's call
8.
him a 7.
Daniel Jones, Houston, then at Jacksonville, then at Seattle.
I might start him against Jacksonville. And he had a pretty good game, all things considered. Well, he had a good half against Kansas City.
Scored 20 points?
Yeah, I know. So he had an okay game.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, I'm going to say 5.
I feel bad for Daniel Jones. He tried so hard to throw an interception in that game, and it just wasn't working out for him. Thomas wearing only a man bun.
We're definitely not winning the 64 tournament now.
Baker Mayfield drop-o-meter.
We don't know how long
0.
he's out for. If we get word that he's going to miss 3-4 weeks, it's like an 8.
Yeah, the word is that he's a short-term injury. So Jamie says 0. Alec Pierce against Houston.
0.
Really?
I don't want to start him this week.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's Jacksonville next week.
Yeah, and Jacksonville twice in the last 5 games for Indianapolis. Rashid Shaheed.
10.
12.
Bajal Tootin.
2.
Like 3 unless you've got ETN, and then 0.
Would you drop Tootin for Rodriguez and Neal?
If he's my worst
that's
running back, then yes.
Okay.
Unless I have ETN. I want to carry those two together.
Xavier Worthy.
Smaller leagues, he's like a 6.
0 until we find out what Rice's injury is.
Oh, okay. Good point. And Ramondre Stevenson. Giants this week. Here come the Giants.
Yeah, that's another. How different is he from Neal and Rodriguez? Maybe he won't get as much work as Neal and Rodriguez, but other than that, yeah. Well, it was his first game back. He's coming back from turf toe. Maybe that goes up. I don't want it to go up. Let's give him a 3 on the drop.
Like Stevenson could still be a starter.
He can still get you 3.2 yards per carry and maybe plop into the end zone.
But if he's just a handcuff,
the situation you presented, if you're picking up Neal or Rodriguez, then you're dropping Stevenson. You need a wide receiver, you're dropping those guys, those type of players.
Mm-hmm.
He's 86% rostered. That's high for someone if he's just enough. But he's also a goal line back. I mean, or at least he was in week 12.
They had 3 different goal line backs on Sunday.
They did. I feel like he led them in.
He did, but it was like 2 to 1 to 1, something like that. They also had 8 plays inside the 5 to try and score on Cincinnati, and they couldn't.
I missed this, and I am sorry, but Jacob texted me last night because we have talked so much about Ken Walker's goal line role. I didn't realize he had a carry from the 2-yard line in this past game.
Mm-hmm.
Did not get in. He lost yardage, but no, that's very significant. And I'm sorry I missed that on Beyond the Box Score, but everything about the role for Ken Walker in week 12 was pretty encouraging. More passing game work, carry at the 2-yard line. That's good stuff. All right, to the waiver wire. Anything we've missed here? Jacoby Brissett is a must add. He's facing Tampa Bay, and they've been really bad against quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, he's got Tennessee, and they're a really good matchup, right? I mean, Jamie, you were saying last week, I kind of like Sam Darnold this week. He's facing Tennessee. Well, now it's Trevor Lawrence. And how would you compare Lawrence to Tua and Stroud and Ward?
Much better. I mean, again, he had as Jekyll and Hyde game as you could possibly find for any quarterback. 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Like at times he looked absolutely lost, and at times he looked great. And so maybe getting Brian Thomas back this week, that's certainly a plus. No matter what you think of Thomas, it helps Lawrence. So with what Jacoby Myers has started to look like, Parker Washington's been a pretty constant, source of production for him.
Yeah, really good source.
And so, I think just looking at this scenario here, Lawrence would be top of the list by far.
Someone's asking in the chat, Soda Pop, saying, can't believe I'm asking this, but Jacoby Brissett or Lamar Jackson? Brissett at Tampa Bay, Jackson getting Cincinnati.
I can't sit Lamar against the Bengals.
I can.
Yeah.
I started Brissett over Lamar last week in the league. I had it that way in my rankings. I'm doing it again this week. Lamar's not the same guy.
Okay. I'm not going to linger on quarterback, but I think in the 2 quarterback leagues, Max Brosmer, Teddy Bridgewater, Shadur Sanders. I'll throw Kirk Cousins in there.
There's a bunch of guys. Terod Taylor, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Who are your top 2?
There's a lot of guys that can get you 201.
Who are your top 2?
In 2 QB leagues?
Yeah, of these, even
Or
if it's
Superflex
not,
leagues?
of these kind of scrubby quarterbacks.
For me, it's Brosmer and Teddy, simply because of the offenses that they play in. Like, I know Sanders had a touchdown that was Dylan Sampson doing the majority of the work, and he's probably going to have to throw more against San Francisco. Look what San Francisco just did to, you know, Bryce Young, who's coming off a big game. Like, I can't trust him. Terod is fine, but we're talking about a receiving core where John Mechie is the best option. Like, I'm hopeful that it's Kevin O'Connell. Maybe this is the guy that he's going to work his magic with, as opposed to the guy that was a first-round pick for them. So I'll take my chances there, and I'll take my chances with the guy throwing to Abuka and Godwin and Kate Otten in that system too. So I'll just take those 2 guys for me.
I agree with Brosmer. He's a strictly solid thrower, though. He doesn't have great arm strength. He's a good anticipatory thrower. That's
Just
something
get the
that
ball
will
and touch
absolutely
Jefferson.
help
That's all
him.
you gotta do.
Yeah, like it's going to happen. I'm just worried that it's going to be too many like 12-yard dig routes and not a lot of explosive plays. And we've seen so many explosive plays from this Vikings offense over the last 3 years. I just feel like it's going to be missing. And when things break down in the pocket, Brosmer hasn't been good, and he's going to be playing without 2 starting offensive linemen, presumably. That's a problem. So he's at the top of my list too, but I'm not expecting great things. And the only reason why I might even consider Cousins over Bridgewater is because I know Cousins is going to be the starter the rest of the season. And he just had a pretty decent game without Drake London.
Yeah.
Drake London's going to be back soon. And that's a pretty good receiving core, having Drake London on top of the other guys that they've got in Atlanta, the running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. Cousins didn't totally embarrass himself. So there's enough there where I think I might give the nudge to Cousins over Bridgewater.
Yeah, and a guy we usually talk about in this context is Marcus Mariota, but against Denver, you can't do it.
And then Daniels could return the week after.
Yeah. All right, running backs. So would you rather would you rather have like Zonovan Knight or Devin Neal, Chris Rodriguez?
You got to put the other 2 overnight just because of Trey Benson's impending return.
But you'd rather have Trey Benson than those guys?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Do I need a starter, or am I just trying to bulk up depth on my bench?
Let's say you need a starter.
Yeah, Knight is the one that I would want to start. We know that if Benson's back, it's over. You can't really trust Zonovan Knight.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't really trust him much now.
You can't, but at least we've seen it, and his offense is, I'd say, significantly better than what's going on in New Orleans, and a little bit better than what's going on in Washington with Mariota.
Yeah.
So if I would want Knight first. I'd want to try and get 2 of the 3 if I'm in dire straits at running back. But Knight first, and then if I miss out on Neal and Rodriguez, I don't think it's the end of the world. I just have to pivot to Singletary, Tajay Spears.
Every week of the season since James Conner has gone down, a running back for the Cardinals has scored 9.4 PPR points or more every week.
Yeah, my issue with Knight is that, first of all, he's running like crap lately, but also
you don't like 10 carries.
And he might be hurt.
And he might be hurt. DeMarcado, if he comes back, he was running better than Knight too.
Listen, one of them will get you 9.4 points. I can't tell you which one it will be, but one of them will.
If DeMarcado is good to go, then you don't have to make a crazy priority for Neal or Rodriguez, because you can just get DeMarcado in case of emergency.
I'll tell you, it was a great matchup this week. It's the Raiders running back. If Genty were out, would Mostert be ranked ahead of Devin Neal or
Yes.
Chris Rodriguez?
Yes.
If you're just looking for 1 week, yes.
Okay. We're confident that Mostert would get the bulk of the work.
I mean, look, it's a new coordinator, so you never know. But, you know, the other options would be Zamir White and Dylan Lobby. Like, I can't imagine that they don't go to Mostert.
And Mostert might actually be able to elude defenders a little better than Genty. It could be close between those two, but we've seen Mostert play with shiftiness throughout his entire career. So just thinking off the top of my
You
head.
said shifty, right?
Shifty. There's an F in there. Thank you.
Yeah, someone's in the chat saying, Adam, can we play Who Has More? Yeah, if you have one, go for it. I'll read it unless it's inappropriate. Jaleel McLaughlin is also on the list. Devin Singletary is on the list. I'll throw out Isaiah Pacheco if you need 4 points. Then, Dylan Sampson. We don't know. Forget it. All right. Moving on to wide receivers. Terry McLaurin, Christian Watson. Who's your favorite of this shallow league group, Jamie? McLaurin
By a lot.
Christian Watson, Parker Washington, Chris Godwin. McLaurin.
Yeah.
McLaurin, long-term. Washington, if it's for this week.
Okay. And then this group of Yoshivas. Give me on the excited to start-o-meter, 0 to 10. Andre Yoshivas at Baltimore.
6.
5.
Chimere DK against Jacksonville.
6.
4.
Jaden Higgins at Indianapolis.
4.
5.
John Mechie against Atlanta.
5.
6.5.
Jaden Reed at Detroit. Let's skip him. Sorry. Greg Dortch at Tampa Bay.
6.
It might be 7 if we know for sure that Marvin's out.
Yeah, my 2 favorites from this week to start would be Yoshivas and Dortch.
Oh, God, I wish I had some amazing stat or something to put clarity into this situation.
Heath will
But
be here twice tomorrow to help with your stats.
ranking these 5 feels like a little bit of a toss-up. Not a little bit, but
It's very much a toss. Like, I mean, this is now 2 shows we've had this conversation. Like, there's a lot to like about these guys. There's a lot to be concerned about these guys, and it's short-term, long-term. Again, if you were to say right now, no Marvin Harrison, you can make a case that Dortch should be number 1 based on what he's done the last 2 weeks and his matchup. You can make a case that, Yoshivas, without T. Higgins there, he's had 3 games with 7 targets so far this season. He's averaging over 13 PPR points in those 3 games. He's coming off a 10-point game, but he still had 7 targets last week. And now he's getting Burrow. And all 3 of those games were with Flacco. So you're getting a quarterback upgrade. In the case of Mechie, he scored 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks, but 10 targets and it's Tyrod Taylor. So there's a lot to like because he looks like the number 1 guy there. There's a lot to be concerned about because there's a reason why John Mechie's bounced around to, I believe it's now 4 teams in his career. So all of these guys have a lot of paths to success. DK, you mentioned it. The 3 games where he's been involved, he's been successful in 2 of them. But now maybe Iomater comes back, and that could be a problem for him too. And it's still a rookie wide receiver with a rookie quarterback. So I don't think you should look at these guys and say, again, I'm spending a lot of fab or I'm trusting them as must-start receivers. But when we get to the 3 receiver leagues, you take Mechie, you take Dortch, you take Yoshivas. At least for this week, those feel like the safest bets. And then DK and Higgins, probably still more long-term situations. The Colts secondary is good. Like Jaden Higgins, and for what it's worth, the majority of his production, I know CJ Stroud's better than Davis Mills, but it's come with Davis Mills. Yeah. And we also are coming off a game where Nico Collins was banged up and didn't do very much.
So I'm going to give you one more name here just for comparison's sake, because someone brought it up in the chat. I think it's a good one. Now, he's 83% rostered on our website, but on Sleeper, on Yahoo, on ESPN, he's between 50 and 63% rostered. Troy Franklin. Do you like Franklin better than
all these guys?
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, especially against Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. Dortch, I just want to bring up, he's had 2 good games in a row. One of them was garbage time. His target share in the last 2 games for Dortch has been 11% and 20%. One of those we can live with. 20 is good. 11 is terrible. But
I would be scared that it'll be lower than 11% if Marvin plays.
Yeah, no.
You can't even consider him if Marvin plays. But if we're looking at the same receiving core right now, like Michael Wilson's a monster and Greg Dortch is a baby monster.
Oh, cute little baby monster. Look at him with his shifty moves and hands. Hey, you could make the move for Dortch off waivers and then still probably find 1 or 2 of these other wide receivers, if not most of these other wide receivers.
Yeah.
If Marvin comes back.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, the most rostered of them all is Yoshivas at 29%. So widely available guys here.
Yeah. I just don't know how many of them that you're going to be excited to start this week, even in a 3 receiver league.
That's what I'm saying. To me, there's 3, and it's Yoshivas because of the Higgins absence and Burrow back. It's Mechie because of what he's done the last 2 weeks in his matchup against Atlanta, and it's Dortch.
Mhm.
I think in the case of DK and Higgins, like I still want to pick them up, but I don't necessarily want to start. Now DK's matchup's great, but you have still questions just because he hasn't done it consistently. And for Higgins, he's been solid for the last month, but this Colts defense, I think, is
Outside corners or studs, man.
yeah. Well, all of them. I mean, Kenny Moore too. It's like they're three cornerbacks. You can make a case it's the best trio in the league.
Yeah. All right. So would you drop Tez Johnson for one of the Fab Five?
Yes.
I don't know about all the Fab Five, but I would drop him to add Dortch and then pivot later if need be.
Like I'm
Like
starting
that's the way I'm going to think about these.
I'm starting those three guys over Tez Johnson that I mentioned, Yoshivas, Dortch, and Mechie. And then I'd much rather stash at this point the two young guys and in their situations now that Godwin's back. I know Johnson scored last week, but I'm not counting on him to be consistent.
And that's about it. Oh, Darnell Mooney. If London were out, how would Darnell Mooney against the Jets at the Jets rank with the five guys?
I put him behind them on the list because of the potential London return. And yes, he did score last week, but it was, I don't want to say fluky, but the targets weren't there.
Right.
So he went from 7+ targets in back-to-back games to what was it, 3?
3 targets, 3 catches, 1
74
great
yards.
play.
It's not something you want to, I think, hang your hat on. That being said, you saw what he could be without the competition there. All
right. Tight ends. You got, who's your favorite? Oh, Juwan Johnson's your favorite. K-Dot and Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson, Harold Fannin. Actually, we haven't talked about Fannin. How's Harold Fannin, who's the only Cleveland receiver who played more than, 60% of the snaps, something like that. He was on the field almost the entire game. And Fannin versus Schultz and Strange, Dave, how would you factor him in?
I'd rather start Strange and Schultz.
Jamie, agree?
Yeah, sure. I think Fannin, I struggled with putting him on the list just because 3 straight games of down production. You're seeing what Shadur Sanders, they're taking him off the field for Wildcat scenarios. Like, they're not trusting him yet, understandably so. That being said, this is now going to be a game where they could be chasing points. I don't think they're going to be the type of team that's going to get blown out. So you're getting a lot of garbage time passes from Sanders or eventually Dylan Gabriel if they go back to him. I hope they don't. But, 20 pass attempts for Sanders. You're probably looking at 30 tops, I think, on a given week. And while Fannin should lead them in targets, it's not like he's been that dominant of a fantasy option or even a real life option that you could say I'm starting him over X, Y, and Z. Like, you can make a case for so many guys. So I think in the case of Fannin, I have him ranked around 15th this week. Strange ahead of him, Schultz ahead of him, Juwan Johnson ahead of him. Like, there's lots of guys I think that you could still be looking at as waiver wire options. Theo Johnson, another one that you have a little bit more confidence in. And for me, I know I'm probably in the minority here. I would rather take a chance on Gesicki without Higgins there than I would on Harold Fannin this week.
Okay. So the top 2 priorities are Strange and Schultz. Colson Loveland's been solid. 7 or more fantasy points in 4 straight games and
9.5 in 3 of 4 since he had the breakout game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And 2 big games in there. One was at the Bengals. The other was caught the touchdown on Sunday against Pittsburgh. And Philadelphia's really good against Falcons.
They are, but Chicago's catching them at a good time.
Right.
With all the injuries that they have. We talked about that earlier in the show.
Gesicki, 5 games without Higgins. Here are his fantasy points: 4.8, 16.1, 12.3, 27, and 7. And that was last year.
It comes out to 13 point something.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. 3 big ones, 2 bad ones. Do we count last week?
In 4 of those, in 4 of those, he had 6+ targets.
Last week was not included. He had 4 catches for 35 yards on 6 targets, which isn't terrible, but also didn't have Joe Burrow. But yeah,
it's risky. It's absolutely risky. But again, there's a sample size of what we saw last year with Joe Burrow, plus a Ravens team, especially if Kyle Hamilton doesn't play.
Right. I was just about to bring that up.
Like, that could be huge.
That would swing it for me for sure. Because the one thing I've really stuck to with this Ravens defense is their pass defense has been pretty good ever since they acquired Gilman from the Chargers. And if Hamilton's out, that's a guy that they use in a ton of ways. But one of the ways that they do use him is against athletic tight ends like Gesicki. So got tight ends that are more receiver than blocker. And Gesicki is basically a glorified receiver, just a big dude. And so I would imagine that Hamilton would be on him a lot. If he's out, that does open the door for Hamilton to get some attractive targets.
For Gesicki, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I said Hamilton.
We also have Waller, who again might not play this week. We have Taysom Hill, who's getting carries. He's not getting any catches, but 10 carries. Not all short yardage situations either, just legit carries.
And 2 pass attempts last week too.
Yeah, true. Gunnar Helm had a big game, and he's starting to play more. And Jacksonville is his matchup, and they are 31st against tight ends.
So
He's
Helm
starting to
had
play-
career, season high, but rookie season.
Yeah.
Snap share last week and 12 targets in his last 2 games. So they're clearly getting him more involved. I think also to your point about DK, if Io Manor plays, that's just another mouth to feed in the offense that maybe impacts him a little bit because they have been running a lot of 12 personnel. But what Helm is doing, what Okonkwo is doing, like they're leaning on their tight ends, which makes sense. When you look at this receiving core, it's, Van Jefferson was a dud last week. Restrepo played, but didn't do very much. I think if you're the Titans, like this is the perfect opportunity to feature Helm, to feature DK, feature Io Manor, see what you have. And I think Helm is benefiting the most. So he's not a bad, pivot play, deep league option.
They're featuring Cam Ward. That's exactly what they should be doing.
Okay, and Colby Parkinson, 3 straight games with a touchdown. Not a lot of targets there.
Nope. But the Rams are catching the Panthers. Like there's a bad time to catch the Panthers, but Carolina's defense is just so beat up, and they played on Monday. They are in a terrible spot. The Rams are going to be able to do whatever they want. Stafford is my number 1 QB this week.
Wow. And DSTs, Chargers, Jaguars, Falcons, Niners, Dolphins, kickers, Kaimi Fairbairn, Brandon McManus, Mike Badgley, Jake Elliott, Chad Ryland, Steve Holt. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Twice.
You don't remember that, Dave? Steve Holt?
Steve Holt.
Jamie? Steve Holt?
No.
Schaefer knows. Oh, let's go ahead and it's Arrested Development. Let's go ahead and show Dave's concoction to keep the sun out.
Do you call this a concoction?
What is that?
ABCs.
I told you, my wife's a preschool teacher.
That's so funny.
And so basically what I did to block out the sun is I put it on top of the camera. You can see the little camera there. So now it's on top of it, and it worked like a charm.
It's working. Wow, that's great.
Yep.
I can't ABC any of the sun. One of the suggested punishments if the Giants lose is for me to eat pumpkin pie on camera.
Done.
Fine.
If you don't, I will.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow twice. Yes, in the morning and then probably 9 p.m. Eastern with our traditional Thursday show. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.